Alright, I'm going to start off by saying I'm going to share my story on bullying. I'm sorry for, my physical appearance right now. My hair just does what it wants to when it wants to, I guess. Um, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is you hear what I have to say. And I'm going to start off by just going ahead and getting on with it. My story on bullying. I've always been a little bit different, ever since birth. My delivery doctor, he wasn't the same one the rest of my siblings had. In fact, the one that delivered me was the meanest, most cruel doctor a person could have. I feel bad about the way my mom suffered just to give birth to me. And he, in fact, himself, was a true and utter bully. The second way I was different from birth was this. All of my siblings were either named after people in their families or someone famous. I was given the name of the month of my birth, April, all because I was born on April Fool's Day. I grew up in a family in which I was the only one for a number of years that wasn't disabled in either a mental capacity or a physical capacity. For that, I was bullied in school because of who my family was. It started in elementary school but became more prominent as we got into middle school. Every day, I would go to school not wanting to be there. I often feared going into classrooms or even getting on and off the school bus. My bullying eventually followed me back home because my bullies from school actually lived nearby me. They would hit me with sticks, call me names, pick on my weight, even when I wasn't really all that big. To a point where all I wanted to do was sit in the house and not do anything outside. I thought my bullying would subside when we had to move. However, it actually made it worse because I was not only a member of a disabled family, but a newbie to top it all off. I even had some experienced bullies who knew my previous bullies and were friends with them, harassing me. Each and every school I attended, I was picked on. That was until I hit Chilton Middle School, in the middle of 8th grade. By then, though, I was so far into being bullied that all I could do was make myself fit the mold that they convinced me I was. Ugly, stupid, and wouldn't amount to anything. I was an obese child by the time I hit the 8th grade, and only got worse from there. When I hit high school, there was a bit of teasing, bullying that happened, but I was so used to it that it no longer bothered me, or so I thought. That was until it happened from a teacher. I think he was trying to motivate me, but at the time, it seemed like the biggest put-down a student could get from a teacher. He told me, you can either do a Class C piece that you excelled at last year, or you can do a Class A piece and see how you do. No one has even expected you to graduate, so it's really not a big deal if you don't want to try this. It was actually at this point where I decided I needed to do something to prove him wrong. I did the harder piece, went to state solo ensemble as a tenor, and managed to get a second. Oh, I forgot to mention, the piece was in French, and I don't speak any other language except English. I then went on to graduating from high school, and started and graduated college. However, although my success started showing in my life, I wasn't happy. I was still way overweight, I couldn't find employment, I had no self-esteem, and I had no idea what the word confidence meant. I allowed myself to beat myself up over the grudges I held. And how I felt about myself that I nearly gave up. I was actually planning on my own death. That's when the hand reached in and grabbed me. A friend from high school, who I wasn't really all that close to, offered me a solution to my weight and finances. It took me a while to finally actually break down and say yes, because I didn't believe it would work for me. I started with the product, and I've lost a tremendous amount of weight. However, what did it for me goes far beyond that. It gave me a sense of hope. I learned and established confidence. I could smile and actually mean it. Later on, I even began to dream a little bit. You see, that's why I'm here with you today. I was given the hand to my own personal freedom journey, and I'm here to help you establish that as well. My biggest dream is to be able to travel around the world, seeing students and parents alike who have been bullied or know someone who has, and be able to help empower them to use it in a positive way. No one should have to feel like they need to give up in life. We all need ourselves a strong support team of people who will help build us up and make us better rather than tear us down. We need to take it upon ourselves to make sure that we are really scoping out the people that we surround ourselves, our children, and our own friends with. All it takes is one person to knock someone down, fatally. But it takes a lot more to help build the person up. I know that I'm not fully healed myself. I have a long way to go. In fact, I will have to deal with some of the side effects of my mental, physical, and self-abuse for the rest of my life. However, I can say this. It is becoming easier and easier to breathe as time goes on. I no longer want to give up. In fact, I now know that I need to keep going because I went through what I went through in order to help somebody else out.